Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Tori, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. I am bummed because I just filmed this and it was so good, but I accidentally deleted the footage, so we're just gonna film it again, and it's gonna be just as good the second time, right? But anyway, today we are talking about rejection. There are two types of rejection, and we're gonna be talking about both. So the first one is straight up rejection. You get told no, it's game over, the end. Clear and very to the point rejected. The second type of rejection is when things just don't seem to be working out. You feel like the doors in your life just aren't opening, and you have to kind of look within yourself and say, is this meant for me or not? And we're going to talk about both. I do want to say before I jump into anything, I am not someone who believes that you should pursue a romantic relationship with someone after they've told you no and rejected you. Hard stop, do not continue. No means no. So we are not talking about romantic relationships in this context. I'm not saying that to mean that you guys will never get together, but if someone rejects you, stop pursuing them. Let it go. And if it's meant to be, it'll happen later down the road. But when you find the person you're meant to be with, it should be easy. It shouldn't be rejection. Yeah. So we're not talking about romantic relationships. I don't even want to I just want to be very clear about that. We're talking about career, we're talking about life, literally any instance except for a romantic relationship, because bestie, we're not doing that. If someone rejects you, then move on. You are better than that. Okay? Okay? Thank you. So before we jump in, don't forget to follow on whatever platform you're currently listening on. Leave a rating, review, like, comment, all those things. I want to hear from you and hear your thoughts on the podcast. So yeah, without further ado, we're just going to jump right in. I'm Grace Tori, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. Aside from the straight up rejection that happens, whether you get rejected for a job, maybe you want to move somewhere and it's just not working out, maybe you really wanted a house and your offer got rejected, whatever it may be, there's also this sense of rejection where sometimes life feels like all the doors you want to be open are just closed. Like no matter where you turn, it's not working out. The opportunities aren't happening. And it's easy to feel like nothing is going right, and all the things that you want or you're going after have quote unquote rejected you. So we're talking about both, like I said, but I know that feeling. I know that it's easy to get discouraged in any sense of being rejected, and we need to break that down. So I'm going to tell you what I do when I'm feeling rejected, when I'm straight up rejected, but to be very blunt, we are not giving up in 2024. Rejection is redirection. This is a motto I've had since I graduated with my master's, which it's almost been 2 years, and that's insane. It's literally crazy to me. I can't believe time is going by that fast. But ever since I graduated with my master's, obviously there's a lot of life changes that come with leaving the college setting, whether you're finding a job, you're putting roots down, all of the things. So I did get rejected a time or two, and I still get rejected every so often when it comes to things I'm working on, whether it's a brand deal, maybe a job, whatever it may be. You get rejected daily, honestly, whether it's big or small. We're all getting rejected daily in little ways or big ways. I think that it's pretty important to understand that life very rarely 100% goes your way. Very, very rarely are we going to look around and be like, my life is amazing. Everything is exactly how I want it. Everything is just working out in my favor. And we can manifest it and be delulu, but from a realistic standpoint, like life, it's all about your point of view. But logistically, it very rarely is 100% the way you want it, right? We just choose to look through a point of view that is grateful, happy, blessed, all those things. So, rejection is redirection. I think that it's important to stop ignoring when you're rejected. Also, stop letting it control you and look at it from a different standpoint and say, okay, this was meant to redirect me onto the path that I'm meant to be on. And that's what we're doing. So when I feel like life is redirecting me, the first thing I do is slow down. So when I really want something, or I'm working towards something, I have a goal in mind, I go full throttle. I'm going 200%. I am working my butt off. I hyperfixate on it. Thank you, ADHD. So my version of slowing down is taking it from 200% to like 60% and kind of going on cruise control. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not doing the bare minimum. I'm just not going so hard. I also go from being very social, listening to other people's opinions, to going within myself and being more of a hermit. I feel like for myself personally, a lot of times there I am influenced by other people's opinions. So say maybe a job comes along and I am offered the job. My family, friends, whatever will be like, this is an amazing opportunity, you should take it. And objectively, it may be an amazing opportunity, but that doesn't mean it's meant for me, or, you know, it can be an amazing thing and it cannot be meant for you. Say I do take that opportunity because everybody tells me to. Then that leads me to another opportunity. Then quickly I'm going down a path that I am not meant for. I'm just following that path because everybody else is saying how amazing it is. And I think it's really easy for people to go down that lifestyle and follow that path because those opportunities aren't bad. They're great opportunities. Maybe the pay is good. Maybe the benefits are good. Maybe it puts you in a city that you have an interest in. So these aren't bad things, and that doesn't mean that you're not going to learn lessons from them that you're meant to learn. But maybe it's not something you enjoy. Maybe it's not something you're passionate about. And when you remove all of the excess noise from everybody telling you their opinions, a lot of times you look within yourself and you know immediately whether you're meant to be doing that thing or whether you're not. So that's why I like to slow down and eliminate the noise, because the first thing I'm going to ask myself is the thing that I was rejected from, or is the thing where the doors aren't opening what I really want to do and what I'm really meant to be doing? Because when it's so hard to make something happen, either it's not meant for you or it's going to be even more amazing when it does work out. But you have to ask yourself if it's worth all of the time and energy that you're putting into it. So I slow down and I do become more of a hermit. I don't go out as much. I still talk to these people. It's not like I'm cutting them off. I just rely more on my own thoughts and intuition than reaching for outward validation. So some things that I do, aside from setting those boundaries and letting it be a little bit more quiet and eliminating those distractions, is I like to meditate, journal, spend time without all of these outside influences, and just listen to myself, my intuition, my thoughts, because in your core, you know whether something is a yes or a no. The question after that is, what is the yes? Like, if you get this no feeling, then you have to ask yourself, then what am I meant to be doing? And that's where it gets tricky. I usually give myself 48 hours to a week to think about this and question, what am I meant to be doing? And that's when I'm really deep diving. I'm really self-reflecting. I'm really thinking back my whole life to when I was even little and saying, okay, what interested me before all these outside influences? What was I excited about? What made me happy? Not to interrupt, but outside my window, like across the street, there's a kid and he has a long string and he tied it around a branch and he's just having the time of his life. He's like, I don't know what is happening. He's just like dancing with it. I mean, that's fun. He is having a vibe. He is vibing out. Okay, sorry, that just really distracted me. But what was I saying? Okay, so I really look inward and don't try to rely on any outward influences. Like, it doesn't matter what my degree is in. It doesn't matter what I was interested in high school. It doesn't matter what my hobbies are. What am I passionate about at my core? What did I grow up thinking I would do before all of the influences? What am I really just interested in, and how could I get there? And usually that'll help me find my answer to what I'm meant to be doing. I'm doing this in the example of finding a job because I feel like that's the easiest example. Like, maybe you either have been working towards a career and it's just not working out. Maybe you've wanted to be an influencer and it's just not happening. Or maybe you straight up applied for a job and got rejected. In that scenario, when it's a straight up rejection, let's talk about it and dive into that because I feel like that's a little bit different. But say you apply for a job, straight up get rejected. First thing I'm going to do is full stop, ask myself, is this a job I wanted to do? Like the job itself, whatever the position is. Is this a company I still want to work for and keep applying for? Is this an industry I want to be in? Is there anything I could do differently to prepare? Sometimes you can ask them. Sometimes you can straight up ask the hiring manager, what could I have done differently? 99% of the time, they're just going to tell you, oh, we just found a more qualified candidate. So it's really not going to make a huge difference whether you ask them or not. It's just going to rely on your own self-awareness. So I think it's important to not oversell yourself and not undersell yourself when you're kind of talking yourself through this. Like, be brutally honest. Could you have been more prepared? Are you overqualified? Are you underqualified? How did the interview go? Like, there's a lot of things you can ask yourself to kind of get to the bottom of why you maybe didn't get a job. After working in a corporate position for over 2 years, I do know a lot of times it's something that you can't control. Like, maybe you're overqualified and they know that you're gonna ask for more salary than they're willing to pay. Like, situations like that where it's really not necessarily you. Like, maybe you're too good. That's a very common thing. So yeah, I wanted to say that because those are different questions than you would ask if something just isn't happening and the doors aren't opening. Like, when there's more of a straight up rejection, you're gonna have a different response. So definitely something to keep in mind. After you do regroup, it's time to research. And before we get into that, there is something I forgot to mention. Just because something's not happening, the doors aren't opening for you, doesn't mean it's not meant for you. I think that a lot of times we want to give up and quit when doors aren't opening, and that's not a good practice to have. Like, things are going to be hard. You're going to have to work hard. And just because something's not happening doesn't necessarily mean that it's not meant to happen. It just means that maybe it's not the right time, or maybe you need to pivot and learn some new strategies. So it's still good to regroup and turn around and say, okay, I still want to continue this. I still want to pursue this. You're not always going to take that time and be like, I want to do something else. Like, there's definitely been times with the podcast where I've been like, I have really low ratings. Things have been slow for a while. I need to sit down and ask if this is really what I want to do. And then I do that and I say, yeah, this is still something I'm passionate about. And then I regroup. So once you take that time and you are clear on what you want to do, that's when you turn around and it's time to research. This is what we're going to do. Clearly what you're doing isn't working. So we are going to research like you know nothing about the topic. Clean slate, act like you've never been introduced to it, act like you have no idea what you're doing. And you're going to start from ground level. I know it's hard to kind of forget what you've already learned, but you want to research and see what the successful people are doing. And maybe it's different than what you do. So that's why you need to look at it from someone who has never done this before, instead of looking at it and saying, no, what I do is right and I'm not changing. Like, you want to go at this like you have no idea what you're doing. It's time to change. That's the vibes. Once you research, I usually take 2 or 3 days to research. Nothing crazy, maybe an hour a day, just to kind of understand from a new point of view what the quote-unquote successful people are doing, and give myself some new ideas of how I'm going to redo this. Like, you're strategizing, so you're writing out a plan of how you're going to be successful with this new way of doing things. After you do that, it's time to try again. So that's really it. I know this is a shorter episode, but it's to the point. It's just meant to be a little motivative pick-me-up if you're in a slump in life. I know what that feels like. Life isn't meant to be easy, so please don't be discouraged when it's hard. That's just life, and there's going to be roller coasters. You have to go through the hard to appreciate the good, and think about how much sweeter things are going to be when you do hit that level of success and when things are going right, because you went through the hard thing first. So rejection just puts you on the path you're meant to be on. It's not meant to be this horrible, hard thing. It is a blow to the ego. I understand that, but it's really just redirection, and it's putting you on the path that you're meant to be on. So look at it like a blessing, that you didn't go down a path that you weren't meant for. You are getting redirected, and it's taking you from wasting that time that you could have spent doing that thing and just fast tracking you on the path to where you're meant to be. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. Like I mentioned earlier, don't forget to follow and do all those things. I love you so, so much. Thank you so much for watching or listening. I upload every single Sunday and Wednesday. If you're watching this on the Sunday it comes out, I hope you have a great night. If you're watching this any other day, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night. I love you so much, and I'll see you in my next podcast episode. Bye, guys.